Hello once again. I was asked a question about ignition switch. How do you know if the ignition switch is good? This is the starting circuit for actually Honda, anything Toyota, Honda, GMs. They all have the same thing. So therefore, main components: starter motor is over here, relay is over here, uh, safety neutral switch is over here, and of course the ignition switch is over here. Now, if the ignition switch is working, you have current flowing through the starter switch. You see this orange? That means this switch will be in that position. Therefore, you'll have current flowing through the fuse, coming out the fuse number 12, rated 10 amps. So basically it's going through 10, pin 9 is the red wire, coming out pin 10, dark green wire, going into the fuse, coming out the fuse, a brown and pink striped wire, going into 12, pin 12, coming out 10, going into the relay, the starter relay, at terminal 86 of this relay, and 85 goes to ground. So basically, if we have current going through here, we know that this is good. Therefore, if this is working, current then flows to this, because now 30 is connected to 87, going to the starter motor. Now after that, where do we go to measure 12 volts to see if this is working? Now, as I said before, I love going to this location over here. If I have 12 volts over here, I know this is closed. Why is this closed? Because this has been activated. There's a magnetic field. Why does this have a magnetic field? Because it has current going through it. Why does it have current going through it? Because this is either in the park position or in the neutral position. That's one of the responses. Other one is this fuse is good. Other response is this is in the start position. That's the most important response. If this is in the start position, I have current flowing and I have 12 volts here, and then this will activate this. So you can either go here to measure 12 volts to know if this is working, or you could go to the fuse. The easiest access point is the fuse, of course. The fuse, one side of the fuse, all you have to go is one side. You don't know which side it is. It's connected to the ignition switch. You don't know when you look at the fuse. But if you go to both sides, you hit the right point, because both of them, either one of them is connected to 12 volts to this one. Okay, maybe the fuse is blown, that's a different thing. But if I go measure 12 volts here, or I go measure 12 volts here, not knowing which side of the fuse is the one connected to this, as long as I measure 12 volts, I know this is in the start position. Because if this would be in the off position, lock position, do you see anything connected over here? Nothing. So you can't have 12 volts in those positions. Which position do you have 12 volts? Only in the start position. How about in the run position? Would you have 12 volts? No. Look at the run. There's nothing connected in the run position to these terminals. These are the terminals of the ignition switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the only one that makes sense is in the start position, to start the starter motor. So the fact that I have 12 volts here, 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 and this goes to ground, this now made this flip. Therefore, it is correct that I have 12 volts. Let's look at the relay. And I made several videos about how to test them in circuit, a relay in circuit. Please go see my channel, Joe Electronic Schematics for Auto, for alternator outputs, how to measure alternator outputs. And see my other channel, Automotive Electronic Schematics for Joseph. Let's match these up. 86, 85. These two, 86, 85. That's the coil part of it. Where is the switch part of it? 30 and 87. 30 and 87 is right here, the middle one. So therefore, if I go to 87, let's see if we can see it. It's hard to see it. Very hard to see it if it's labeled. Let's see. Probably this one. Here's this one. Therefore, this is pin 87. 87 is this one. If I put a wire from here, which I did in a video, I put the wire inside the terminal, and then what did I do? I put the relay on top of it, pressing it fully down. Please go watch that video. Then I know if I have 12 volts at this relay, at this terminal, that means I have 12 volts from here. That means I have all this working. Where's my problem? Over here, in this area. Remember, you have a separate wire, the thick wire going from the battery to the starter motor to carry that heavy amps, 200, 300 amps. Now, you have several wires, thick wires. One is obviously starter motor. One is charging from the alternator. The other one is one thick wire that goes to the fuse panel. After it goes to the fuse panel, after the fuses, they make the connections to all the necessary circuits. So we have to have a main wire going to the fuse panel, which you'll see. I'll show you under the hood. I'll show you what I mean exactly. That red one over here is a thick wire. The red one over here going to summer is a thick wire. The red one coming from the alternator is a thick wire. Sometimes this could be in black, depending on the whatever. But anyway, you see the thick wire going to this. Why? It has to carry all the current that goes through all the systems. That's why it's a thick wire. Anyway, please see my channel, How to Measure an Alternator. When you measure an alternator, it is computer controlled nowadays. That means the computer controls the rotor field current. As you put on more accessories, the computer will then go and adjust the field, the rotor, to compensate, to make more current. This is why I took a regular multimeter, a clamp meter, I measured the current output. That tells me at least the computer is listening to my request for more accessories, and also it tells me that the alternator is responding to the request of the computer. I can put a scope on it, but I know it'll be a little too much technical if I put a scope on it. So therefore, the easiest way for me is I put a clamp meter, I measure over here, a clamp meter right here, I measure the current going to the battery from the alternator. That tells me at least that, you know what, the alternator is listening to the computer's demands of more current. That's the easiest way that I can show the viewers. Like I said, I put a scope to it, but it'll be too technical. Therefore, I chose that way to do with a clamp meter. I hope this was a little more helpful to know if the ignition switch, again, you want to know if the ignition switch is good? It's hard to get to the ignition switch. You have to pull it out and all that. Just look where it's connected to. It's connected to a fuse. Easy. Go under the hood. Look for fuse 12, 10 amps. That's it. You'll find it there. 12 volts. If I have 12 volts over here, that's it. I know I'm good. If I have 12 volts over here, like I just showed you at this point, at 87 over here, that means this is good. That means this switch flipped from 87A to 87, and that's why I have 12 volts over here. You don't need to go to jumper relay. You don't need to go to look at the ignition switch. The fact that I have 12 volts over here tells me all of this is working. Tells me all of this is working. Now, the question, the comment was, well, maybe the battery voltage is low. It can't start the starter. I'll find that out also. If I measure 12 volts, what does that mean? That means the battery voltage was good. Otherwise, you know what I would measure? I would measure 10.5 volts. The fact that I go to this point and I measure 12 volts not only tells me that this is good, but it also tells me the battery voltage is good, also 12 volts. You still have to put a load test on it. That's a different thing. But the fact that we got 12 points over here tells me that the problem is over here. Maybe the flywheel. Could be. But anyway, like we said, please go to my videos. Joe Electronic Schematics for Auto. And my other one, Automotive Electronic Schematics for Joseph. You will see hands-on videos, and you'll understand exactly what I'm referring to, what I'm talking about. That one, I need more views. I'm trying to work on that one. So please try to watch those videos for me. Thank you.